Okay, yesterday I was thinking about the importance of passing on information and knowledge, right? And being committed to lifelong learning, right? As an autodidact. That means somebody that's self-taught, right? Because you must continue to learn when you leave school, college, uni, whatever level of education that you had by the state, right? Or privately. You have to continue to learn. Well, you don't have to, but those of us that are committed to learning know the importance of it, right? It's a significant part of life to continue to learn, right? I was thinking about passing on information anyway, right? And it occurred to me, because I've been this person as well, that some people that watch this content and other content will already know the information that I'm giving, right? And I find myself doing it as well. Like, I watch content, I'll be like, well done, bro, I already knew that, right? You're preaching to the choir here, right? But that's not the point, right? The point is this: you remember when you was in school, college or uni, what have you, right? Your lecture will be happening at a certain time, man. You had to be in the class at a certain time. And do you remember most of the time when you were leaving from one class going to the other class, the classroom you were going into, the students were exiting, right? They had just finished having a lesson, right? Before your lesson began, right? And then there's a class after you, right? So you have to recognize the internet is still like that, right? Even in your own personal pursuit, like your autodidactism, right? Yes, you already know this information because you've already had this class, right? But the next guy that clicks on the video hasn't been to the class yet, right? Hasn't accumulated the information, right? So you need to look at it like that. And sometimes it's good to hear the information again, to refine and reconfirm the information, right? And reconsolidate it, have a better understanding of what you think you already know, right? That's why we revise, right? That's why we revisit subjects and break them down further. And there's different levels of teaching and understanding, right? You've got your key stage 1 to your bachelor's degree to your PhD, and on and on and on, right? There's different levels of information. So it dawned on me that even though a lot of ideas, a lot of information, a lot of knowledge and experience is out there already, right? It doesn't matter, because the world is such a massive amount of students in the world that each and every content creator is a class, right? Is a classroom, right? So the billions of people cannot all fit in one class at one time, right? So there's going to be different teachers, different classes, different levels of information, right? So that's why it's important for both you, the viewer, and you, the content creator, to sometimes reiterate the information that you've learned, right? Redistribute the knowledge and the experience. Yes, 1 or 2 people in your class might already know the information, and that's good, right? Because that's what they're supposed to do, right? You have to be considerate of the other people that don't know yet, right? And everyone learns at different times in life, right? You have to look at your own life and be like, right, I learned this lesson at this point in life, right? Maybe I wasn't ready to learn it before it, and maybe I was meant to learn this later, right? In a time scale, right? So you can't blame people for being slow to information and knowledge, right? Because different times for different people. But at the same time, you have to recognize and be committed to eternally learning for as long as you're on this planet, right? And not get to a point where you feel like you know everything and you don't need to know anymore, right? You don't get to be, you don't want to put yourself in the Biggie Smalls ready to die category, right? Of knowledge, right? Because you're just a baby, right? Like Lupe says, you're just a baby, like, you know what I mean? You don't know nothing yet, right? So always remember that. You have to be willing to keep learning. And just because you know the information, your classmate, your friend, your neighbor, your family don't necessarily know the information too, right? So don't overlook the fact that you need to share the information, and don't automatically assume that everyone knows the information already, right? And that everyone's on the same level of thinking. Or even have the information but interpret it, perceive it differently to you, right? Because that's a thing too. In conversation, in vocabulary, in specialism, in generalization. interpretation plays a big part in all of it, right? All the students in the class aren't gonna understand the same message from what the teacher's saying, right? Even if it's a protocol or methodology, like a mathematical tool or principle, not everybody's gonna pick it up in the same way, right? There's different ways to work out problems, right? Different ways to solve a mathematical equation, right? So recognize that and use that to your benefit, right? Yes, the information is widely available, but it becomes niche information once you digest it, right? And add your experience, your point of view, your way of speaking, your way of teaching to it. It becomes now a niche class, right? Where it's a broad subject and the information is out there from different sources. It becomes niche because it's you, right? And it's your audience, right? Your audience might be shared with 1,000 other content creators, but it doesn't mean that your audience all have the same level of understanding and the same level of insight that you do, right? And a few of your audience members do. So always remember that. It's super important to pass on information, not gatekeep, not be a knowledge hoarder, right? And a snob and start looking at people in classism of education, right? An educational caste system kind of thing, right? They're lower, they're higher, whatever, right? Yes, there's different varying degrees, but the truth of the matter is, the thing that the PhD is studied, right, and has got multiple degrees in, he or she should be able to take that information, all those years of studying, and then come back and break down small bite-sized chunks of information that the first year can understand, right? The non-PhD, the undergraduate can understand, right? They should be able to break it down in such a small and understandable way that the layman can understand it, right? So there's varying degrees, but they can still give an overall objective view of the possibilities and outcomes of that subject matter, right? To the layman, to the professional, right? Right up to the pro, right? So don't overlook that. Don't be a knowledge or educational snob, right? And be like, well, I'm better than all these people because I know this already, right? Be mindful that you don't fully understand every subject that you know, right? Even if you're a master or a professional, there's always new information, new techniques and faster ways of reaching an outcome and a goal, right? Always coming up everywhere, every subject matter you look, right? Nothing on the planet is finished yet, right? Nothing is perfect yet. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for better technique, yeah? So just keep that in mind and always be willing to learn, and learn for life, right? Not just for school, right? Not just for your job, but for your own personal edification, right? Your own autodidactism.